And welcome back to Survivor Hot Takes. It is me, Coach Drew, whose whose camera just went off, because of course it did, but you guys can still hear me. AKA the Shantham Stander, because the Shantham is, I can't get it out of my head, and I think that most people at this point can't get it out of their heads. I've found myself humming it many a time over the last 5 weeks. And yeah, it's an anthem I can proudly stand for. We're joined today by Cindy, who you guys might remember from the Sophie Clark A Win is a Win episode. Cindy, a new hot take for you.
So I was trying to go with a hot take for the season, and based on what I've seen on Twitter, I think it's a hot take, but maybe I'm wrong, but I like Sydney. I stan Sydney. Maybe it's because our names are so similar, but I've seen so many people like, oh, she's so full of herself, and I'm like, that's because she deserves it.
I think so. I've seen the Sydney hate too. I thought it was just because of her personal beliefs or whatever. It's like, okay, guys, once again, I try not to bring that kind of stuff into the game because if they're fun TV, they're fun TV.
I don't know her personal beliefs. I didn't pay attention to the preseason.
Good. Don't. Sydney's there for me. I don't have like a distaste for her like a lot of people on Twitter do, but I think she'll be a fun merge character, and then we'll leave around 8.
Right.
So who's your winner pick as of right now?
Winner pick as of right now is
your personal, like who you want to win and who you think is going to win.
I want Nasir to win. I love Nasir. Nasir makes my heart sing. I feel like Ricard's gonna win right now. I think Shan's too obvious of an edit for her to win. And I also think she made a mistake this week that we'll talk about. But I think that that's gonna kind of swing things more towards Ricard right now.
I've stated, I think I stated this after the first episode of the season. It's not because of the come on in guys thing, but I'm not a fan of Ricard, and I'm pretty sure it's because everyone was calling Ricard as the winner preseason, and it just kind of annoyed me because it's like, well, come on, guys. If it ends up being Ricard winning, I'm just assuming that all of these people just looked at spoilers. And I don't want that. I want anyone else to win so that I know that people are just picking Ricard because they liked him and not because they read the spoilers and tried to look cool by. Like, I know you didn't do this, but you know how these.
I didn't know who anyone was on the cast beforehand. Usually, I'm very into the Survivor preseason, but this season I just forgot that there was a preseason because it's been so long since that's happened that it was like, oh. Shit, Survivor's starting. Okay.
All right. So going into the episode, we lose Jeannie, which the writing was kind of on the wall after the last episode. But what I really want to talk about is, well, one, this tribe isn't as bad as other tribes that have been annihilated. They haven't been portrayed as a joke. I don't think they are a joke. They just kind of run into a lot of bad luck. So if we were to rank all-time bad tribes, I would say I would put this at the top or bottom, depending on how you're ranking it. As far as like, this is probably the worst tribe that's ever existed. Your opinions on it, it's Ua, right?
Yeah, Ua.
Okay. Your opinions on Ua.
Ua, for a bad tribe, has been doing pretty well, like you said. I mean, there's never clown music that I've paid attention to, at least. I think there's too much Shantham for clown music. It doesn't feel as much like on the one hand, you have where it's very much felt like Shan is running the tribe, but you haven't had the and everyone else is being an idiot, minus a little bit from JD getting a little messy at times, and I just didn't like Brad at all, so I think he was annoying. I think he did bad, but that's just because I just didn't like him on TV.
Brad was a fun pre-merge character that we all knew was going early.
See,
I
I
think
feel
I
like
picked him to go first.
Sarah was my original winner pick, like preseason. So I was like,
Abraham was mine, so
Brad's dead to me. Like, I want nothing to do with it.
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I
So
think like in comparison to like, Matt
that's
Singh as the shining example to me as like the worst tribe possible. I think they're doing pretty well.
yeah, and they just kind of run into a lot of bad luck. And honestly, I haven't seen much "ooh I hate" on Twitter. I don't think that anyone has really dragged them because I think that most people do see Shannon Ricard as the two dominant players in the game anyway, despite the fact that they're on a shit tribe. They were on a shit tribe. And I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see how they navigate whatever happens next, because we're all assuming that. I mean, based off of the preview, it's not going to be a merge, but something else. Now, what that could be, it could be like what they did in Fiji. It could be what they did in Philippines. But I think that no matter what happens, we won't see either one of them going home this episode. I think that's a pretty fair bet at this point. So going off of that, do you think they made the right decision? Do you think that, Shan made the right decision? Do you think Ricard made the right decision? Or do you think that one of them may have screwed up?
I think that Ricard made the right decision because I think he can throw Shan under the bus whenever he feels like he needs to. Shan, I think the moment you have that fight with Ricard on the beach where you're asking for your extra vote back and he's like, try trusting me instead, and you're like, doesn't compute, give me the vote. That should to Ricard be a signal. You are not Shan's number one. She does not trust you. Like, throw her under the bus when you need to. And Shan should know that's not trust you can get back. Like, he just saw you do that with JD. Even if you don't vote him out here, he's gonna have a grudge.
She tried to dip her hand. She tried to go to the well too many times with that. Like, yeah, she got JD with it last week. Cool. I feel like Ricard is a smarter player. And yeah, Shan's a smart player, but I don't see Ricard falling for that. And I wasn't excited that he didn't fall for it. I kind of wanted him to. But I was surprised that she tried to pull that early after getting rid of JD, after pulling the same thing with JD. And I think he mentions that. It's like, oh yeah, like, didn't we just do this like a couple days ago? And yeah, but like, trust me on this one, I'm not actually going to screw you. It's like,
this time different.
It's going to be different this time. Okay, so based off of that, other than the fact that she went to Ricard with that, is that the only reason you think that she made the wrong choice? I
think that after that, you have to vote Ricard off.
Okay.
Because once you've broken that trust, Ricard has so much detail on the crap you pulled on your original tribe that was pretty sketchy. And now he knows not to trust you. So to me, that means you have to get rid of him. I mean, ideally, I think if she hadn't done that, she did the right thing by getting rid of Jeannie. But the moment that she did that, that just breaks so much trust, in my opinion, that's never coming back. That go with the person who, to my knowledge, has been like loyal to Shan. Like, yeah, she's not done anything wrong.
Up until this, I thought they were number one. I mean, they probably still are number one, so they have to be. But up to that point, I thought, oh, okay, they just trust each other 100%. Like, there's not a doubt in either one of them's mind. And then when that happened, it's like, okay, yeah. So like I said, I think the writing was on the wall when it came to Jeannie. I think that pretty much everyone had kind of expected her to go. The road to how she goes, though, is, and we talked about this before we got on the air, this was probably, if not my favorite, my second favorite episode of the season. Mainly because I think when we look back on this like 5 years from now or whatever it is, the Nasir moment at the challenge will like be looked at as, like the Wentworth does not count and moments like that, as one of those big survivor moments. And the way that they framed it and the way that they edited it was perfect. And I think that at that moment, I was like, all right, Nasir has to win. I don't care about anyone else here. I just want Nasir to win everything. And then, getting the backstory, about his daughter helping him and all, like, oh my gosh, it was too much. But
I cried.
do
I did.
I didn't. I got what's the word? I welled up. Um, but what I wanted to ask is, do you think that us getting all of these moments from Nasir is just trying to set us up for his inevitable merge boot or whatever the case is? I'm just
You
I'm
take
just
merge
asking.
boot back.
I'm just asking.
That is
I'm just
not.
asking.
That is not
Um,
an okay. I think it is. I don't think Nasir gets to the end. Like I do think that they are leading us to heartbreak, but not a fucking merge boot. Not that soon. I am thinking more robbed
Final
in a
five.
final four fire making challenge that they should have gotten rid of while we're doing a new Survivor. Let's get rid of what doesn't work. But yeah, I think that Nasir is going at some point.
My boy, he's absolutely the hero of the season up to this point. And I'm interested to see the Nasir Shan dynamic if it ever occurs. I would assume it does. I think they probably have one or two more boots before they merge. Um, and I'm interested to see how they interact with each other. Same thing with Ricard. So somehow I'm going to segue from that to something that I know that you wanted to talk about. And so I thought, before we get to it, I honestly thought it was a joke. I think Chrissy from HHH posted something about how they keep changing their clothes on Twitter. And I just thought, oh, I haven't noticed, but cool, whatever. And then, last night I went and looked more and more into it, and it seems like a lot of people are upset at the fact that they have, it looks like, an infinite amount of clothes, or at least like more than one pair.
I think five
So
outfits is the going
wow.
rate. Yeah.
So you have the floor. Uh, Opinions
I'm all
on
for it. I think everyone complaining is stupid. I mean, I think going way back to Purple Kelly, everyone who knows the story of Purple Kelly knows that she quit because she was cold. And to go from someone legitimately quitting your game because they're so miserable and cold because you're just having them sit around in their underwear and their sleazy little tank tops, you'd think they would immediately be like, okay, let's let people have jackets or, just whatever. And then we go into the whole like 30s seasons where they're like, no swimsuits either. You get to see like Chris Underwood in full form in his underwear, and that GIF is never leaving the world. Like, why? This is a children's show. Can't we just like
it's not a children's show. It is a
well,
family show.
have you played Survivor game within a game? It's a children's show.
I think that Jeff made that, like, Jeff specifically said this is for the kids. But I think that the show, that's for the kids to like occupy their time, as if when we were kids watching the show, we needed that. Like, I've said this many times on here, Survivor taught me how to be an adult, basically. So from the age of 9 or 10. So the kids don't need you to coddle them. Just show them what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Um,
But there
so
are
that's
children watching, and we don't
true. Yeah.
need to see everyone's everything. People can have swimsuits. People can have multiple outfits. Things get dirty and smelly. You're on an island. I don't get any enjoyment watching someone in dirty underwear walking around. Like, I'm sorry. If that's what you're into, you can find it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Go
need
watch
any
old
weird
seasons of Survivor.
yeah, like I watch Survivor for a social strategic game. I don't see how there's any difference between someone with 5 outfits stranded on an island being told to vote out their other contestants for $1 million and someone in their dirty underwear doing that. Also, yeast infections are a thing, UTIs are a thing, like just health wise. Let's give them a break. Let's give
Stay
them
woke,
multiple
y'all.
outfits. And moreover, you get to see more personality when you get to see more outfits. Like, Evie has a very distinct style that if they were limited to just one outfit, we wouldn't really get the full, like, scope of. So a lot of people like to judge people on fashion. That's how they express themselves. We're trying to get to know these players. Let them express themselves.
I agree. And I'll say that anyone complaining saying, "Oh yeah, it's not real Survivor because they have too many pairs of clothes," the clothes really has nothing to do with. Oh shoot! Did you see that? Really have nothing to do with anything. And what I mean by that is, let's say they have 5 pairs of clothes. They're still washing their clothes in relatively dirty water. These clothes aren't clean. I understand that these people want them to be dirty all the time because of reasons, but it's not like they're living in luxury. They just have more clothes on, and yes, I understand that these are one of the changes that they made to the show for whatever reason, and I don't think that it hinders the show or makes it less than because now they have more clothes. Just like same thing with the amount of days, just the same thing with the phrasing of "come on in." All of these things have nothing to do with the actual game. I understand that less days people are but they're still playing the game. They're still playing it hard, and they're just playing it in a shorter amount of time. My
And
biggest
got
thing
rid
has
of their
always
rice as well.
yeah, exactly no Flint and all. Yeah, I think my biggest gripe with this season, probably any season going forward, will always be the amount of advantages because that does impact the game. And I'm thankful, and I mentioned this last week. I am thankful that people are starting to agree with me that there are just way too many advantages because we both have played online games, and there's um a lot of games that do put a lot of advantages in their games, and I always sit there saying, "Oh, well, I don't need them." If I'm going to get to the end, I'm going to get it to the end because of people like me or like me enough, and it never works out. But I'm a very big advocate for anti advantages, and for the longest time, people thought I was crazy. Now it seems like, oh, I think that the what's the newest one they just introduced last week?
The knowledge is power.
Where you can't lie, which I do think is kind of bullshit because a part of a social strategic game is lying. And if you have an advantage where you can't lie to me now, it's like, okay, well, but I also still don't think that it's the worst advantage that's ever existed, and that'll
A
always be
lot
the
of
knowledge of
people
power.
despise it. I think in a season where people have to announce to everyone, hey, I have an idol, even if it is through these weird phrases,
Oh my
maybe
god.
those two shouldn't be in the same season because you literally know they said the things. So I don't agree with it in this particular season. I think in other seasons, I kind of don't mind it that much. It means keep your shit secret. Like,
So, going off of that, in real time, every time specifically Xander has to say his broccoli phrase. Um.
butterfly phrase.
Oh yeah, who's broccoli?
Shan and
Okay.
Brad.
Okay. In real time, do you think people probably picked up on it after the first time? Like there is something like even if they don't know about the advantage, do you feel like people are like, okay, this is definitely something, or do you think that the people that don't know just are still oblivious to the fact that these people are obviously talking to each other?
So I think Xander did a great time the first time. Like, I don't think anyone knew that time except all of the people that he told, which I feel like was practically his entire tribe. Um, and then the second time, I feel like people like that's gotta bring something for you. And then to have Brad completely fumble the broccoli thing, and you're
It's
like, that didn't sound anything close to natural. And then immediately after, you've got Xander repeating this butterfly thing. And then you've got Shan also talking about broccoli being trees. And if at that point you don't get it, like I don't think you should be on Survivor. Like I don't get how you wouldn't get it at that point. At that point, I think everyone on both UA and Orange Tribe all knew, and I think Deshaun knew on Blue. So I'm guessing most of Blue knows. Because
I think at this point everyone.
I think everyone knows.
And it's maybe so. I say that, but do we know that people in the Sears tribe know?
So we don't know people on Nasir's tribe know from Nasir or from Deshaun, but I think we know Deshaun knows from when he was on Advantage Island with someone earlier. I don't remember. I tuned out a little bit that episode because it was an Advantage Island and I didn't care.
That's fair. And going off of that, and my whenever they speak these phrases at Tribal, I'm usually at home in bed, and I don't cringe often, but I have literally hidden myself under the covers because of how cringy it's gotten at this point. And that's another thing that's another knock on this. Like I am enjoying this season, I am, but the cringiness of this season is like an all-time high in terms of Survivor. With that, with Jeff, breaking character and talking to us. And
please never break the fourth wall again, Jeff. It makes me so uncomfortable. Jeff is literally the person
into tribal council. It's like, yes, we know, Jeff.
He spent so long in quarantine that he said, I don't remember how to do my job, but I think this is the way to do it better. And it's not. Just remember how you used to do it and go back to never speaking to me.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I think that's what's ultimately, well, I mean, for all we know, they could stop doing that.
Did you know in the game within a game, after every little puzzle thing you solve, Jeff talks to you?
No, because I haven't done the game within the game.
I haven't either. I learned that from a podcast and I was like, I hate it so much.
Oh my God. Oh, here's me hiding this advantage. Oh, Jeff, you sneaky scamp.
I don't mind the hiding the advantage as much. I think it's cute to know where the advantages are because we got that nice little scene where someone's like, it's right, and you're like, it's right there. And that was fine.
I loved it in the premiere because in the premiere, literally anything could have happened in the premiere. I've been like, that's awesome. I love all of this. But every time it's happened since then, it's like, okay, awful. Jeff, we don't need to do this anymore. And what I was saying was, I think that's what's going to ultimately hinder the season. Like, I feel like this could probably end up being a top 20 season, probably. But I think that what's going to stop it is they just kind of threw everything at us at the same time this season and didn't try to build off of okay, we're going to introduce this advantage this season and go from there. They just kind of said, hey, here's everything, and here's me talking to the camera, and here's the game within the game, and we're throwing it all at you, and have fun the next couple seasons. And I'm hoping that, because we haven't even seen the shot in the dark advantage thing used yet. And what I'm afraid of is that it's going to be overused once the merge happens, to the point where people are just like, oh, well, of course this person's going to do that. And that scares me. I think this merge is going to be awesome because the characters that we have left, for the most part, -2 who have gotten 0 screen time. Everyone's a fun character. But I'm just afraid that it's going to become an advantage heavy type merge, and not the best.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many advantages out there already, and I imagine they're not going to stop introducing them since it's been almost an advantage an episode gets introduced. If not more, if you're counting idols as advantages.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the shot in the dark if you don't also have idols. I think idols or shot in the dark, maybe not both,
Yeah.
don't really need that. And then just fewer in general. I like that sometimes these advantages are making you give something up rather than just like benefit.
Yes.
That's a cool thing. You can use that for like one extra vote and then don't introduce like 8 more. Like I'm fine with that, but just it needs to pare down.
Yeah, and I think that they'll hopefully they'll see the, I won't say backlash because it hasn't been like an overwhelming backlash, but I hope they'll see what people are saying and kind of adjust from there. 'Cause, the original immunity idol was the super idol, and it changed based off. I won't say based off of how the fans reacted, but they changed it. And I'm hoping that even with the Beware advantage, yeah, I like the concept of it. I just think that they went about this all wrong by continually having people say this phrase over and over again. It's like, okay, I get it. Please don't show this to us. Please don't show this to us anymore. I can't do it. Um, so as we wrap things up, uh, any final thoughts on this episode and where you think the season is going? Especially tomorrow with the new episode. What do you think is going to happen based off of what we were shown in the trailer, the preview?
I am kind of very confused because I've heard that it's like not something we've seen before that they're doing with whatever they're doing with the drop your buffs. So I'm not sure what that particularly means. My thought just in my little crack-headed brain is just that I really want to see Real Survivor do a demerge eventually. So I think it's a fake merge, not a fake merge. I think he's gonna be like, look, you're merged for a couple rounds and then you're not again. And everyone's like, haha, what? That's sort of where I think it's going. But I don't know. I assume Erica and Heather are leaving soon. That's I can't imagine that people with that little edit are making it too much
Oh,
further, but I've been wrong about that before. I'm very bad at reading edits.
yeah. I try to avoid doing that, and it's hard because in the however many months we had of not watching Survivor, all you do is just look up Survivor stuff. It's like, oh look, there's this thing called a winner edit, and this is how you figure out who's going to win. It's like, okay. So now I am convinced that like Shannon and Nasir are going to win based off of what the internet has taught me about how to do it. Even though I'm purposely trying to avoid reading edits, because I think it's silly. Just watch it. Just go along for the ride.
I'm
Um,
all about going along for the ride and then
exactly.
listening to people that don't talk about edits talk about the show because I don't like listening to people who talk about edits talk about the show unless it's just like, do Erica and Heather exist?
Exactly.
That's an
Yes.
acceptable like
Because
speaking
they
on
don't.
it.
They don't exist.
It makes me very
Um,
sad. Every week, Erica tweets something about like, "Will I get screen time this week? Stay tuned to find out." And I'm just like imagine you like have your time in the sun. You're finally cast on Survivor, and then no one sees you. You're like, "Hey
yeah.
guys, come watch my show with me," and they're like, "Are you sure this is your show? Because you're
Are you
not
sure
in
you're in
it."
it? Did you make this up?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, wrapping things up, I am firmly, and I've said this for 2 weeks in a row now, so I'm assuming that it's just going to stay that way until they get voted out. But Shan is now my winner pick until she gets voted out at like 8, and then it'll probably become, I don't know, Heather. I'm just like, Tiffany. It'll probably become Tiffany.
I love Tiffany. We haven't talked about Tiffany. I love Tiffany.
Um,
I loved Tiffany's face when Xander was lying to
oh
her.
my gosh. Yeah, I'm a teacher. Like that's what I do. It's like, yeah, she's
Yeah.
spot on. And Xander being the worst liar ever. It's like, oh, I thought you said you found it today. It's like, oh, I
Did
just
I say today? I meant
said
like
that. I have Tourette's. I don't know. Uh, so, Cindy, I want to thank you for coming on again. Hopefully, we can have you back at some point before the end of the season to discuss how wrong our win. So your winner pick now is who?
Ricard.
Ricard. Okay. So see how wrong both of our picks are.
The only winner pick I've ever gotten wrong midway through a season, Chris Underwood.
I mean,
I guessed him at Merge.
That's okay. So let's hope that it's not Ricard. I really just don't want Ricard to win. And it's nothing personal against Ricard. I just don't want him to win.
You follow Ricard on Twitter? Do you see his mom's texts are so
I
cool.
did. That was very wholesome. I did like that. He seems like a fun guy. Like, whatever. Leads a very exciting life. I was on a plane over the weekend. Was hoping I would run into him. But I was also hoping I was running into T-Bird because I flew down to Atlanta. But
did you fly Delta?
I flew Delta down, yeah.
There you go.
But I flew United back. So in summation, I'm really excited for this episode. I'm hoping that it's just another episode in a 2-episode series right now of great episodes. If not, the Merge episode would be coming next weekend, hopefully, or next week, hopefully. And Merge episodes are usually amazing. So yes, Cindy, thank you once again for coming on. We will do it again soon. And for everyone else, thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see y'all on the other side.